Hi, thanks so much for joining me. It is wedding season, so we've got this Gardenia inspired look today. And one of you let me know that you have the exciting news of getting married this year, so congratulations. And I think there are some different requirements for weddings in terms of special occasion, the length of time something has to last, the fact that there are photos taken, lots of things to consider. So we'll be talking about those things along the way, so let's go ahead and get started. Since I want to make sure that I have a really smooth base, and of course, if it's this time of the year, I get a little bit more oily in the center, so I'm going to go in with the Mattifying Primer. This is by Chanel, and this was my favorite last year and continues to be. The other primer that has a little bit of illuminating is also really nice, but for me, for my purpose, especially just to smooth everything out here and keep this under control, just add a little bit of this to the center, and especially right between my eyebrows and right above. So just right in this area, not on the exterior. Depending on skin needs though, it might be application all over, just in the center, or in very specific areas, like maybe right under here. If I got oily under here, I would definitely make sure to add enough there. Now for foundation. There are a few foundation choices that I have, and these have been tried and true for long wear for me. If I was going to pick a Chanel foundation, this is very luxurious. This is the Sublimage Le Teint. This is the one in the jar. And this one was tested in a very, very large downpour here. I had filmed a video and then it started flooding in our area. So my husband and I were outside trying to divert water away from the house. And I thought my makeup was going to look not great after I came back in, but I looked in the mirror and it looked really, really nice. Of course, in any situation where it's going to be high stakes in terms of wear time and photography, I would personally test this out a few times just to make sure it will stay in place and do what I need it to do, especially in a climate that I will be in for a special occasion, because sometimes there are destination weddings, and whether you're a guest or bride, it's nice to know how your makeup will behave in that climate. You can see here it's like a pudding consistency. This is in the shade BD41, and this is my ideal shade match in Chanel foundation products. This is a BK Beauty 115. I'll show you a couple of other options in case you don't want something like, you can see that there's some substance to this. You don't have to use a whole lot of it. And actually this is quite a bit. It reminds me a bit of the consistency of the eye concealer, the one in the jar right here. So if you're familiar with that one, it feels a lot like that on the skin to me. Thin layer, nothing too heavy. Okay, so we've got a thin layer on here. Don't need too much. Let me lean in so you can see. So hopefully you can see how that looks on the skin. And typically when I love a foundation, it has a powder substance in there. And what I've noticed is that that can lend a very soft focus effect, allowing for less makeup as well. If you are interested in other options, then another one by Chanel is the Ultra Le Teint, and this one is more coverage. So if you're looking for a long wear that has more coverage, because the Sublimage is light to medium, although it's still buildable, this one is even more buildable, has more coverage. So this is the Ultra Le Teint, and this has a really lovely wear time on it as well. So I've tested this. This is in BD41. Outside of Chanel, another one that I would go with, and actually this one is in the same ranking as the Sublimage. This is the Cushion Foundation. This one does have a bit of a dewier kind of finish, even though it's still a satin finish on me, but it's also one that I would definitely rely on. I have mine in Wheat and Nude. I would highly recommend this to try out as well. But again, the run through I think is really key on any makeup that's going to be used for something that's high stakes like that. So then we're gonna go in with just a little bit of this eye concealer in 40. And this will make all the difference. So I do not need to powder under my eye area. And if I were going to have a wedding, or if I was a guest at a wedding, I still would not powder this, because I've tested this enough to know that I don't need to, but it comes down to preference and experience and how makeup typically works on someone. So just brighten this up a little bit. I still think the Sisley under eye concealer is also a very nice option, because in this case, I think strategic concealing is really important. Wanting the skin to look like skin, but also making sure to conceal the areas that need concealing, like right here. So I have concealer by Chanel, this one here in BD41. I also have the color corrector in Pesche. However, in this kind of situation, I would go for the Clé de Peau just because I know that I have tried this many times and it wears really beautifully over several hours. So I'm just gonna go in here and conceal right in those areas where I normally conceal. I'm gonna take this BK Beauty concealer brush. It is larger, but I also have larger areas here to conceal. So I'm just gonna kind of pat that in. I have it on the smoother side. So like I said, it's dual sided. So when I pat it in, I like to use the side that has the bristles that are flatter. You can even see here into the eye area. I think the trick with makeup like this is to look like it's perfected, but that it didn't take too much makeup to make that happen. So it's a kind of an interesting balance when it comes to wedding makeup. I think a goal for wedding makeup is also to look timeless because these pictures will be around for a long time. And actually my makeup was pretty simple and I think would stand the test of time from almost 18 years ago. Okay, so now we're gonna powder, and for a lovely setting powder, I'm gonna go in with something very natural, beautiful, silky looking on the skin. We're gonna go in with the Clé de Peau powder. It is very silky, one of the silkiest powders, and it's translucent. So on me, on a BD41 complexion, I'll show you half and what it looks like close up. Okay. So here's the powdered side and not powdered. You can see it just kind of smooths out the appearance of the skin just because it's not reflecting as much light in lots of different directions on the pores. And if I was going to powder under the eye, I would also use this powder. It's beautiful. Oh, also another good reason to test out makeup before a big event is to test for any reaction with the skin. I personally would not be using brand new to me products that I didn't know about on that day. I will hopefully have been using them quite a bit just so I can anticipate how it's gonna go. Okay, let's do some quick bronzing. So when it comes to bronzing, I wanna keep everything soft because I don't want too much contrast with any photography like bouncing off certain parts and light being absorbed. So in this case, I'm going to stick with more powder products today. So I'm going to go in with this by Chanel. This is the Le Beige and Light Coral. And I'm just going to take the bronzer here with this lovely brush. And I'm doing this just for some dimension, not for bronzing per se, just to build in some dimension for photographs, but not too much. I don't want this to look dated after a couple of years. And I would definitely, for me, be calling on my powders to work really hard on a day like this and to keep them with me. So I'm gonna go in with this Perfect Blur powder also. And because I don't add so much makeup on, in terms of cream products, I can build up powder and it's fine. Also, this buffing brush helps because I can buff it in as well and just buff off the excess if there's too much powder. So here we go. Here's what it looks like right now. Definitely want to be careful with brows because brows, I think, are one of those things that really signal to someone what era something happened in. Like the 90s had the very thin, like I have pictures from the 90s where I can tell because, well, I look a lot younger and my brows are very thin. So I kind of want to keep them in a place that's more classic. This is Victoria Beckham's Baby Blade in Taupe. I'm just going to build out the brow and build the shape with Taupe. Okay, so just being really careful with this part of it. And then going in with the dark brown right on the end here. Okay, so brows are one of those things that I'll continue to go back to as I do my makeup to see if I can add or take away or adjust. It's one of those things that I'm constantly revisiting while I'm doing my makeup. Okay, we want to go with an eye that is very classic. So I have a couple of options here that we could play with. So we have here, this is the Beige in medium. So this is that neutral tone one, not sparkly. Personally, I would be avoiding sparkle, except maybe a little bit of satin. So we'll see at the end if we want to add something. And then also there's this 266 Tisse Essentiel. So these are a couple of options that I might consider. I actually like both of these. So let me see. It is difficult to choose. I really do enjoy both of these, but I really want to just build dimension and accentuate that natural eye shape and not add too much color. Now, if I was going to add color though, not that this is very colorful, but this one would be the one that I would be choosing because it's my favorite Chanel palette, Tisse Rivoli. It's got a more, almost a purple tone. It's not purple, but it's got like purpley tones in there, cooler palette. So this would be the one I'm gonna go with. And number 2 Rephr here, and I'm going to take this color, this lightest color. Just applying this all over the lid. Just be careful of fallout because it is more of a traditional kind of formula, not super creamy or anything like that. But also that allows it to really blend nicely. And I did not prime my eyes, so I think it just is a preference. You like to prime your eyes or not, and it depends on the intensity that you want. So I'm just going all the way up to the brow bone. Let's go in with this color first, this more taupey color, just so you can see that. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this color as well, this one right here, and I'm going to put that in the same area but just closer to the eyelash, not the eyelash, but closer more intensely into the crease, so not as close to the brow bone. Okay, so that is very minimal. We're going to go in and just add a little bit of drama. I'm going to take this darkest color right here, and we're going to add that to the exterior corner. You can see how dark that is. Not too much. You can see how it just blends nicely. So simple, just watch out for fallout. So if you want to do this before foundation, that's also an option. But you just place it really like this, and then I kind of wiggle it back and forth, go into the crease, and then build it out here, and then it just kind of blends nicely by itself. A little bit more here, and really just pushing this into the crease, the end of the brush. Okay, that's really what I love so much about neutral palettes, is that you can just add a little bit, it adds dimension, but it's not adding a whole lot of other things like color, like I keep saying. So it just does like a light and dark kind of idea. Just building dimension. Just so you notice the eyes and really nothing about the makeup. So I did say, I caution you to not try new things on a day that is more important. However, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to actually open it because where is it? I've been wanting to try this eyeshadow, so I ordered it. But I thought it would be really nice for this look. This is the Ombre Essentiel. This is the single in 234 Beige Sable. I want to see if it's a nice satiny sheen or is it going to be too sparkly. So let's see. I really want it to be a soft satin. So there is a little bit of a, because I'm trying to find like the perfect amount of glow. And then there is this color inside of the palette itself. Because there is a creamier element to these than like a traditional powder. And you can even see my hands, like here's the single and then here's the one from the palette. If you're the bride, then you're gonna have a lot more up close photos. If you're a wedding guest, I don't think it's gonna be as close. If you are part of the wedding party, it probably will be closer, but the bride will have the most close up photos done. So that's what I'm thinking about. Let's just add a little bit of this to the center, just a little, to add a bit of life to the eye. So there's the difference. Let me lean in so you can see the difference there. Okay, that's pretty much exactly what I was looking for when I was thinking about what is that one thing that's going to make the eye just glow slightly. Nothing detectable here in terms of sparkly particles. Something a little creamy, but definitely not glitter. I was not looking for glitter. I was not looking for shimmer. I was looking for a satiny glow where the particles were even and not at all a distraction. Very happy I picked this up. I know it seems like such a minor thing, like it doesn't make that much of a difference, but it's all about the dark and light and then just a bit of glow here. This is a Rephr number 3. Just dotting this on the inner corner. Just for a slight glow. You could go in with this charcoaly color and use a thin, like a very small brush, like a small angled brush like this. Actually, let me show you. This is by BK Beauty, this little teeny tiny one. It's a number 208. And go along the lash line really softly. And do a really soft liner like that. Or you can go in with this. I'm going to use this today because I love it so much. It's the Taupe Fume, one of the new shades that they just came out with. And it's going to be a little softer than that charcoaly color. Not as deep. Just kind of going right along the lashes here and not doing a very visible line. So there's the difference. Very minor. But I don't want to look like I'm wearing a lot of makeup. And then I'm going to follow up with this mascara. This is by Chanel. It's the Le Volume de Chanel in black. So we'll follow up with that. Just making sure I clean up my exterior here with some concealer. I'm just going to take this concealer brush. That's the Clé de Peau again. Oh yeah, let's go in the waterline just really quickly with Sweed's Bright. Just to make sure I don't have any red in this area. And if I do a very gentle sweep. Trench by Victoria Beckham. I just do this to neutralize this under eye area. And I always love putting a little bit of this. This is Chantecaille's Le Camoflauge Stylo. Right, just in the darkest area here. And it gives a little bit of like a glow of like a skin-like finish. So you can see the difference. Minor, but it's there. Let's do some blush because blush is going to kind of bring these together. I'm going to go in with kind of a neutral blush on me. Let's use this number 72 Rose Initiale. So we've got a Ray Morris brush here. Not too much blush, but just enough to have a bit of color. And then again, this is where like a little wear test would help. If you know what will happen to the makeup over time. Like I know for me, my makeup tends to actually look better over time, well, depending on the makeup I'm using. Specifically, this foundation will look better on me over time. Oh yeah, another really nice foundation, if you don't like foundation for wedding, is a Water Fresh tint. Maybe I'll get that in a little bit, but it's the one that's encapsulated powder. I just put it away. But it's in a pump. That one's really nice too. So if you want something on the more sheer side of things. Then lip. So lip can go many ways. You could do something that's more of like a pH. You're gonna get a little bit of tint, but that will look different depending on your pH and your coloring. So if you want something a little more predictable, you can do something like a Le Rouge Duo, which will have a longer lasting time on it. Again, testing all of these is helpful. So what we are going to go in with is this. I actually looked on their site to see, is there a pink that I'm missing? I just want something that's like a lovely pink. So I wanted to add a little bit of color and not look washed out. So I went with this, something that I had actually. I looked at all of their lip products and ended up with this. And I realized I already had this. This is one of the Strays, and this is an 822. I think I've used it the most out of, I think maybe I have 6 or 8 of these. So you'll see it's just like a pretty pink color. Okay, I have a little bit of dryness here. Okay, I'm gonna actually just exfoliate that. I don't think it's visible, but I can feel it. So let me exfoliate and then let's reapply. Okay, as you can see, I just put actually this is quite old, this pin here, because I wanted initially to do just a loose bun at the bottom, but it wasn't working out. So actually on my actual wedding day, I had planned on wearing my hair more like this, but because it was in Hawaii and it was so humid, my hair wasn't holding the curl as well as I wanted it to. And so I ended up putting it all the way up. Depending on the climate, if it's windy that day, if it's indoor, outdoor, I think there are a lot of factors to think about. But something simple like this, especially if you're a guest, I think is very appropriate. So let's go again with this lip now that I've exfoliated. One thing also about the wear on this actual lipstick is that it's very nice. It adds a bit of a stain behind as well, so this is one that would have to be reapplied though. So if you don't want the hassle of reapplying, or maybe some people like reapplying, there is nothing like an actual lipstick. Again, the Rouge Duo though, that will stay in place for a long time, but also just test the wear on you. For me, I get really nice wear time out of it. Okay, so finally we have the look. It's a little bit romantic as well, having the hair down, and it reminds me a lot of the era in which the Gardenia fragrance was created. Just gonna do this on the edges really fast, just to make sure it's nice and smooth. This especially works with reds because you can very much see the contrast there. Okay, so this fragrance, Gardenia, which is right here. This Gardenia, from what I understand, Gardenia cannot be distilled, created into a fragrance. Instead, what happens is that various scents are kind of cobbled together to approximate the scent of Gardenia. Let me know if you have other information about this, but I've been reading a lot about this and learning about it, so let me know what you know. And this was created in 1925, so this scent is 100 years old now. So they had stopped production of this, so we have like a version of it, but it was Mademoiselle and Ernest Beau, who was the first director of the Chanel fragrance, who composed this scent. Now, what I noticed about this Gardenia, and I wore this earlier today and I'll spray it again, it has like that stem element to it. I think that's what helps it feel and smell more like an actual flower. It has like a greenness to it, like the other elements of the Gardenia, in addition to the actual flower itself. It also has vanilla in it, so it's soft. It's not an overwhelming vanilla or a very distinct note, although it softens it out. I wouldn't say this is powdery in a way that I think Gardenia, in my mind, would smell powdery. It's very much like Chantecaille's Derby Rose right here. So Derby Rose, if you're familiar with this, if you do not like rose fragrance and you have this idea of rose fragrance smelling kind of old-fashioned, they did a really nice job of having this rose smell like a fresh rose from the garden. It smells like the green parts of the plant too, like the stem, like the leaves. Same thing with this Gardenia. I think they did a really good job of that. From what I've learned about florals and what I like in florals, I like when it smells like the actual flower, as if it was just freshly picked or is in the garden. And usually there is that green stem leaf element, and that's what's present here as well. Now, it is a very much like a one note floral fragrance in that you don't mistake this for any other flower except Gardenia. It's stronger in its obvious note. I can say something like Jersey. Jersey has that lavender note, but it's not as upfront as this one is. So you really have to like the Gardenia scent, and this was created because, as you know, Chanel is known for its camellia, but the camellia doesn't have a fragrance. So this was created to reflect that white flower that Coco Chanel loved. This to me is kind of glamorous. It's not a casual fragrance, which is why I don't wear it all the time. And that's also why I can see why brides want to use this on their day, because it's a very distinct and it would definitely evoke a memory. So if you want to create a memory with a fragrance, this is beautiful. But like I said, it's not something I'm going to pull for every day. I also think it's reflected in this look. Very much an old Hollywood glamour kind of look, but also not super overdone. I think in wedding makeup, it can be easy to go to pageant makeup, which is not something that I love for wedding makeup. So that's why I tried to go for something a little bit more glamorous, but still natural. Something that just really brings out the features so you see the person and not the makeup. There are a couple of other fragrances I would recommend in case this is too much for you, because some people don't love Gardenia. Another one to think about is Darby Rose here by Chantecaille. I think this is really beautiful if you want a rose scent. Beige right here also has some lovely floral notes, more heavy on the floral. And then if you don't want all that floral and you want something clean, and I don't have it, I just have the little tester I'm still using. I'm going to purchase it though, because this to me is more like an everyday fragrance. That's Exosis Eau de Cologne, and that one has a nice citrus floral balance, and it's very subtle compared to this one. So that might be another option if you're interested in those. And then I'll list anything else I can think of down below if you're interested. Also include a list below of some possible wedding guest outfits, because I know for me it's really hard to think of what can I wear. I definitely don't want to wear white like the bride, but then what else is left? And I want to be comfortable. It's usually a long day, so I will leave a list of some possible outfit ideas for you in the description box below. And do let us know what has worked for you in special occasion makeup and special occasion looks. We'd love to know, because there are a few requirements here that are different than every day. It's got to be long lasting, has to look beautiful in photos as well as a video, and I think enhance what someone looks like versus seeing the makeup first. So we'd love to know what those tips and tricks are that you have to share. Please leave them in the comment section below. But that's it for today's video, so please take care of each other, stay well if you enjoyed this video. If you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.